welcome back to Rank and File Sports with Jonah and Connor. Today we're going to be continuing our schedule previews with the Tennessee Volunteers. We're going to be previewing every single Power 4 team schedule as well as a few Group of 5 teams. So please make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss your favorite team's video as well as our official game-by-game predictions over the summer. Taking a look at the schedule for Tennessee, you start off with a neutral site matchup against Syracuse, and then SEC play is going to be pretty tough. You got Georgia, Alabama, Oklahoma, Florida, and Vanderbilt this season. Not the easiest schedule, but I've also seen SEC schedules that are a bit more difficult. You get the majority of games at home, and we're going to go ahead and rate the schedule on the difficulty scale of a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, that first game against Syracuse at a neutral site in Atlanta, even though it's a neutral site, it's still in the South. It's going to be a little bit easier for Tennessee fans to travel there than the Syracuse fans, in my opinion. I also think with Syracuse losing Kyle McCord, who was a lot of their offense last season, it's going to hurt. Tennessee returning Nico Amialava at quarterback after a very, very good first year. I think this Tennessee team is going to have a really good shot of starting the season off 1-0, giving them an 80% chance to win this neutral site game. Following week, an in-state rivalry game against Eastern Tennessee State University, ETSU. They're not going to be good. Tennessee's going to walk all over them, especially with it being a home game. 100% chance Volunteers. Sing good old Rocky Top as much as you want in that game. Because the following week, I don't know how much you're going to be singing it. Because you're welcoming the Georgia Bulldogs to Neyland Stadium. This is going to be tough. Yes, Tennessee is going to have the same quarterback situation from last season with Nico as their starting quarterback, with the game plan already around him from last season. Georgia is going to have Gunnar Stockton as their quarterback, with Carson Beck leaving in the transfer portal. Granted, Gunnar Stockton did play last season in the SEC championship game as well as their playoff game against Notre Dame. So he has some starting experience, but not nearly as much as Nico does for Tennessee. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's going to matter. Kirby Smart builds amazing rosters, recruits very well. I think Georgia's defense is going to shut down Tennessee from the start and get a very dominant win on the road against Tennessee, giving Tennessee a 35% chance in this game. Granted, this could all change if Gunnar Stockton is not the quarterback for Georgia, if it's someone new that neither of us have seen play before, then that might change things. But for right now, we're giving Tennessee a 35% chance in this one. Then against UAB the following week at home, another 100% chance here. UAB is a really bad team. I believe their head coach is on the chopping block with a very hot seat after a horrible season last year. I think that was only his first season, too. And if it wasn't, then he's been on the hot seat for a very long time. And getting blown out by Tennessee is not going to help him in that case. 100% chance for the Volunteers. And then on the road against Mississippi State, Mississippi State had a terrible year last year. Not going to get much better this year. Their only saving grace is that this is a conference game and it is a home game for the Bulldogs. But Tennessee should be able to take care of business and get a road win here, going into their first bye week, giving them an 85% chance against Mississippi State.
After that bye week, you get Arkansas at home. This is going to be a revenge game for Tennessee as they fell to the Hogs in a huge upset last season, giving them about a 75% chance to get a home win here. It's going to be a good game, I think, but with Nico and the Volunteers wanting that revenge game, like I said, I really do think that Tennessee is going to be able to get it done heading into the Alabama game. This time it's on the road, and this has been a pretty even series over the last few years. Tennessee won it last season, so is it time for Alabama to strike back? They have the home field advantage. They should be favored in this game. So I'm not saying Tennessee can't win it because there's a really good chance that they do, but it's less than 50% for right now in these way too early projections. Gets a little bit better after that, though, as they get another road trip, this time to Kentucky. Kentucky was the second worst team in the SEC last season and probably going to stay there this year. It's not looking much better. And even though they have the home field advantage, this one should be a win for Tennessee. After that, you got Oklahoma. The Sooners are bringing in John Matier from Washington State. Can he be the next Cam Ward? I don't know if he'll be quite that good, but I do think that he'll be able to rejuvenate this Oklahoma offense and make games like this one a little bit more interesting. That being said, with the home field advantage and the talent advantage, Tennessee is still going to have about a 70% chance to win this game heading into bye week number 2.
Coming out of that bye week, finishing up their non-conference play with a home game against New Mexico State. Once again, not much needs to be said here. 100% chance for the Volunteers. Moving on to at Florida. Florida is one of the teams next season that we think is going to be a really, really competitive team, maybe looking for a college football playoff berth. DJ Lagway, with a full season under his belt, now gets to lead this team that is going to be geared to win. It's no longer a rebuild year for Florida. It is all forward. It is all looking forward to competing for an SEC championship and maybe a college football playoff berth. It will be very interesting considering that we're probably going to see this DJ Lagway, Nico Amialava comparison and rivalry start possibly because they're both the same age. But in this game, I think Florida is going to be the favorites, especially with it being at home. Both teams will have played Georgia at this point. I do think this will be a competitive game. I do think it could go either way, but with Florida being the home team, we're giving Tennessee a 40% chance in this game. And in their final week, a real in-state rivalry game taking on the Vanderbilt Commodores. Diego Pavia returning for Vandy after leading them to a miracle season last year, including that win over Alabama. This game could be deceptively good, especially with Diego Pavia returning for Vandy. But considering this game is at home for the Volunteers, I do think, despite who they're losing this offseason to the draft, I do think that they should be the better team on paper and giving them a 65% chance in this game to end the season with a win.
Yeah, just looking at the schedule as a whole, I mean, you got 3 games under 50% and then everything else around 70 and up. It's tough for me to see Tennessee doing much better than 10 and 2. I think they can get to 10 and 2, pulling off at least one upset, but 9 and 3 is definitely possible. 8 and 4 if they lose all of the games that they're underdogs in and slip up somewhere else. But I really do think they'll at least get to 9 and 3, and there's a good chance they could still get to 10 and 2 in my opinion. What do you think, Connor?
A lot of people need to step up for this Tennessee team if they want to succeed next season. Dylan Sampson at running back was one of their big breakout stars last season who was able to take some pressure off of Nico Imilava at quarterback. He's going to the NFL draft. Obviously, they're losing a huge defensive asset to the NFL draft in James Pierce Jr. If they can't replace some of those guys, this season might be very difficult for Volunteer fans to watch. I could see, like you said, 8 and 4 as their floor, maybe even lower if for whatever reason they can't get guys to step up on the offensive side of the ball. But if Nico is able to make that next step and get a couple wins in these underdog games, like against Georgia, Alabama, or at Florida, then maybe this Tennessee team can make a deep run in the playoffs because these are some of the best teams in the SEC. And if you can win those games, there's not going to be very many people that stand in your way. But I do think that 10-2, 9-3 is where they're going to end up next season, but it could be anywhere from 8-4 to maybe even 11-1.
Yeah, speaking of last season, the Volunteers did finish 10-3. They were 10-2 in the regular season before losing the college football playoff game at Ohio State. Now, our projected win total is going to be 8.65 wins. That's based off of adding all the percentages from the last screen. As far as the prediction goes, our way too early prediction is a mirror image of last season. We got the Volunteers going 10-2 in the regular season, and we'll have to wait and see if that's going to be good enough to make a college football playoff game. The over under from Vegas is sitting at 9.5 and is actually plus odds to go over. So Vegas is liking the Volunteers around 9-3 there. Uh, that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in our next video.